If you buckle your toddler into the back of an Uber X without a car seat in California, you're breaking the law. I mean, most parents know that instinctively. But for decades, there's been this pervasive, almost magical belief about limousines.
Right, this idea that stepping into a stretch limo or a sleek black car somehow suspends the laws of physics
Mm.
and the state highway code.
Exactly. We assume that because we're paying a premium, the normal friction of family travel just kind of dissolves. But today, we're looking at the harsh logistical reality of family airport transit. So, welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Our mission for you today is taking one of the absolute most stress-inducing aspects of travel, getting your family and all their gear to the airport, and, well, engineering it into a seamless, safe operation.
And to do that, we are using a really specific operational framework today. It's the Redlands Family Airport Transportation and Child Safety Guide.
Yeah, and while it focuses specifically on booking a limousine or black car service in Redlands, California, the underlying mechanics here, they apply universally.
Absolutely. We are moving away from the fantasy of effortless luxury and diving into the hard data of child passenger safety, fleet inventory, and even airport architecture.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the very first conceptual hurdle we have to clear is a complete mindset shift. When you book a car service for just yourself, you're making a simple transportation request, right?
Right, a vehicle arrives, you get in, you leave. Very straightforward.
But when you add a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old to that exact same reservation, it is no longer a transportation request. It's a highly volatile safety and logistics operation.
It really is. You aren't just calling a cab anymore. You are managing a fragmented supply chain.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because the inventory is fragile, it's highly regulated, and it requires an incredible amount of specific data to move legally. The failure point for most parents happens at the very first phone call.
Right, they just say, hey, I need a ride to LAX and I'll need a car seat.
Exactly. And from a logistics standpoint, that request is practically useless. It's the equivalent of calling a logistics broker and saying, I need to ship a box, without providing the dimensions, the weight, or telling them if it's fragile.
Because the hardware required to secure an infant is structurally entirely different from the hardware required to secure a preschooler.
Precisely. A transportation company cannot safely assign an asset to your reservation without highly specific data parameters. They need the child's exact age, their exact height, and their exact weight.
Are we talking a rear-facing 5-point harness or, a forward-facing seat?
So a booster.
Right, a high back booster or a backless one. Each of those requires a completely different footprint within the vehicle cabin. And this introduces a major friction point with centralized fleet inventory.
Because you might assume that a high-end black car service just has a warehouse full of every possible permutation of child seat.
But they don't. Some have a limited supply, some only offer specific models if you request them way in advance, and some require you to supply your own hardware completely. And if you're listening to this thinking, well, I'll just book a rideshare family option, you have to realize that rideshare inventories are totally decentralized.
Oh, you are absolutely rolling the dice there.
Yeah, you're hoping the independent contractor happens to have the specific seat your child needs, in good condition, sitting in their trunk at that exact moment.
Which is a huge gamble.
Mm.
A livery service is a centralized fleet, which gives you predictability. But even that centralized fleet has finite resources.
Which brings us to a really fascinating point from the guide. The physical architecture of the airport itself compounds this entire logistical puzzle.
What's fascinating here is how the geometry and traffic flow of the airport literally dictate your entire booking timeline.
Like the contrast the guide draws between Ontario International Airport and LAX.
Exactly. Ontario is relatively compact.
Yeah.
The physical distance from the drop-off curb to the security checkpoint is minimal, so the turnaround time is really fast.
Whereas LAX is just this massive, sprawling, congested horseshoe.
Right. If you're flying out of the Tom Bradley International Terminal at LAX with 2 kids, the sheer physical walking distance from the curb to the gate forces you to completely alter your schedule.
Because you have to calculate the time required to physically unbuckle the kids, extract the luggage from the trunk, break down and fold a bulky double stroller.
Right, on a crowded curb, no less.
And manage the inevitable toddler restroom breaks before you even reach the check-in desk. The vehicle size, the child restraint requirements, and the airport architecture are just inextricably linked.
Which naturally leads us to the operational checklist. The framework outlines 7 crucial questions you have to clear with a provider before you ever hand over a credit card.
Let's go through those. The first 2 are about securing the hardware. confirming the exact type of child seat they have, and verifying that the specific seat is actually available for your exact pickup date and time.
And that availability metric is crucial because of asset utilization. Just because a provider owns 2 rear-facing infant seats doesn't mean they're just sitting on a shelf waiting for you.
Especially during the holidays, right?
Exactly. During high-demand travel periods, those seats might be deployed in other vehicles doing completely different airport runs.
Okay, so you lock down the seat, you confirm the availability, but then we hit the third question on this checklist, which is, who installs the car seat? And I have to stop here and push back a little.
I thought you might.
Well, if I am paying a significant premium for a private chauffeur, a service literally defined by convenience, why am I the one sweating in the back of a Lincoln Navigator trying to thread a locked seatbelt through the plastic belt path of a convertible car seat?
It's a fair question.
Shouldn't a luxury service handle the installation from start to finish?
It is honestly the most common frustration parents voice. But you have to look at the mechanics of liability here. A professional chauffeur is an expert in defensive driving, route optimization, and vehicle operation.
But they aren't car seat experts.
Right. They are rarely certified child passenger safety technicians. Even if the transportation provider physically places the seat into the cabin and attaches the lower anchors, the ultimate responsibility rests entirely with the parent or guardian.
So the luxury provider supplies the hardware, but they're absolutely refusing to accept the liability for the final quality assurance check.
Yes, and for good reason. They cannot know your child's exact torso height or shoulder width to adjust the harness straps properly.
That makes sense.
It has to be a joint effort. The chauffeur provides the pristine equipment and the environment, but the parent serves as the final, non-negotiable quality control check before the vehicle goes into drive.
Liability and absolute child safety ultimately rest with the parent. I mean, that makes logical sense, even if it does shatter the illusion that you can just passively sit back and let the driver handle everything. You are still an active participant.
Always.
Moving through the rest of the framework, we have questions about vehicle recommendations, which we'll analyze in a second, and questions about extra fees.
Right, you need to know if there are hidden fees for the seat itself or for requiring a larger vehicle class just to fit the seat.
But the most critical operational question on this list is number 7. How the provider handles flight delays and airport timing on the return trip.
Oh, this is huge. The buffer time required for a family landing at an airport is drastically different from a solo traveler.
It's night and day. If I'm flying alone for a business trip and my flight lands 20 minutes late, the driver tracks it, I walk off the plane, bypass baggage claim, and I'm in the back seat of the sedan 10 minutes after the doors open.
The transaction is seamless. But inject a family into that exact same scenario.
Chaos.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You land, and now you have to wait at the end of the jet bridge for the ground crew to bring up your gate-checked stroller.
Which alone can take 15 minutes.
Easily.
Yeah.
Then you have to navigate to baggage claim to retrieve massive, oversized checked bags. And you're managing feeding schedules or immediate restroom needs for children who've been confined to an aircraft cabin for hours.
And the whole time, the meter is running. If your driver is strictly on the clock with a narrow grace period, your stress level spikes instantly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A competent provider needs your airline, flight number, passenger count, and exact luggage footprint, so their dispatch system can algorithmically anticipate those extended recovery times at the terminal.
That makes total sense. And that liability we discussed earlier regarding installation, it isn't just a matter of the livery company trying to protect their insurance premiums.
Not at all. Their operational protocols are dictated by state law. The framework leans heavily into the mandates enforced by the California Highway Patrol and the DMV.
Okay, so what does this all mean for chauffeured vehicles? Because I always assumed black cars fell under the same exemption as municipal taxis.
A lot of people think that.
Yeah, like in places like New York City, there's a legal carve-out where you can jump into the back of a yellow cab with a toddler and no car seat. It's technically legal there, even if it isn't safe. Is California treating private limousines like standard passenger cars?
They absolutely are. That is the myth of the limo loophole.
The limo loophole, right.
People see limousines portrayed in media, proms, weddings, VIP events where passengers are moving around freely in the back, and they assume those vehicles operate outside the jurisdiction of standard traffic laws.
Like the rules of the road are magically suspended.
Exactly. But the reality in California is unequivocal. A limousine, an executive SUV, or a black car is a vehicle operating on public roads, and it is subject to the exact same child passenger safety laws as your personal minivan.
So there is zero legal cover for skipping the seat.
Zero. The California Highway Patrol mandates that children under 2 years old must ride in a rear-facing car seat unless they weigh 40 pounds or more or are 40 inches or taller.
And for older kids,
Children under 8 years old or who are under 4 feet 9 inches tall must be secured in a proper car seat or booster seat in the rear seat of the vehicle. You can never treat a chauffeured ride as an exception.
wow. So if a provider tells you it's fine to just hold the baby in the back of their town car,
They are violating state law and jeopardizing your child's life, period.
that is sobering. And the regulatory friction doesn't even start at the state level because if you're traveling to the airport, you're inherently dealing with federal regulations as well.
Right. The framework highlights the Federal Aviation Administration's overlap here.
Yeah, if you plan to actually take your child's car seat onto the aircraft, it has to have specific wording on the label certifying it for aircraft use, right? Like noted in the FAA's Kids Corner guidance.
Which introduces this fascinating logistical crossroads for the parent.
Yeah.
You are juggling the Highway Patrol's requirements for the ground transport, the livery company's inventory limitations, and the FAA's certification requirements for the air transport.
It's a lot, all of which forces every parent into the ultimate strategic debate. Do you bring your own car seat or do you rely entirely on the transportation provider to supply one?
It's the great debate, and both pathways carry significant operational friction.
Let's look at the friction of bringing your own. Navigating a massive transit hub like LAX with a toddler, a carry-on, a diaper bag, and a massive convertible car seat. It's like carrying a boulder on a hike.
It really is exhausting.
It completely negates the hands-free convenience of hiring a private chauffeur. Why would anyone willingly absorb that logistical burden if the car service offers to provide a seat?
Well, because of the downstream implications at your destination, the framework outlines very strong arguments for maintaining control of your own hardware.
Okay, like what?
The most obvious is familiarity. Your seat is already calibrated to your child's exact shoulder height and harness tension. There is no guesswork in the dark at 5 a.m. outside your house.
That is a very good point.
But strategically, if you bring your own seat, you possess it for the entirety of your trip. When you land in Hawaii or New York, you have a guaranteed, perfectly fitting seat ready for the rental car, the hotel shuttle, or your relative's vehicles.
Ah, right. If you use the limo services seat for the airport run, they keep it when you get out. You arrive at your destination with no hardware.
Exactly. Relying on the provider streamlines the immediate airport run, but it introduces uncertainty on the other end. Plus, you're trusting their maintenance schedule, their inventory availability, and their cleaning protocols.
Which you might not want to do.
Right. If you provide the seat, you own the quality control. But if you provide the seat, you also have to ensure that the luxury vehicle you booked can physically accommodate it.
Which brings us to vehicle selection. And this isn't just about picking the car that looks the coolest. It's basically a rigid exercise in spatial geometry.
It really is vehicle Tetris.
The framework warns against dynamic pricing traps where parents just click the cheapest available tier without analyzing the vehicle's interior volume.
You cannot book based on price alone when you have oversized childcare equipment.
Let's break down the vehicle matrix they provide. First is the executive sedan. The baseline assumption is that a sedan is fine for 1 or 2 adults and a single child.
But the hidden limitation there is trunk depth.
Right. A standard luxury sedan trunk is optimized for sleek, rectangular luggage. If you show up on the curb with a massive, awkwardly shaped double jogging stroller, the geometry simply fails. The trunk will not close.
That is exactly why the luxury SUV is designated as the practical middle ground for family transit.
It gives you that necessary cubic footage in the cargo area.
Right, for bulky strollers and excess luggage, while still offering standard factory LATCH systems in the passenger rows for easy car seat installation.
But then you look at the Sprinter van, and this is where the mechanics get really interesting. A Sprinter van seems like the ultimate solution for a large family with tons of gear. It's a cavernous space.
It seems perfect on paper.
But the framework explicitly warns that for Sprinter vans, child seat compatibility and the seating layout itself must be confirmed prior to booking. Why is a massive van potentially a problem for a car seat?
Because of how commercial livery vehicles are manufactured, a standard factory SUV rolls off the assembly line with federally mandated LATCH anchors built directly into the chassis. But commercial Sprinter vans are frequently sent to third-party upfitters to be customized for luxury transport.
Oh, wait. Because they rip out the factory bench seats and install those plush, reclining leather captain's chairs?
Precisely. And in that modification process, the standard structural anchor points might be completely removed or altered.
Wow, I never thought of that.
Yeah, the seatbelts might be integrated directly into the custom seat in a way that makes securing a bulky, rear-facing infant base physically impossible. You cannot just assume that because the vehicle is large, it possesses the standard safety hardware of a minivan. You have to proactively communicate with the dispatcher.
You really have to provide the full dossier. Pickup address, airport, airline, flight time, precise passenger count, child ages, heights, weights, exact luggage dimensions, stroller type, and hardware origin.
Is a lot of data.
It is. And for listeners who are specifically in the Inland Empire region and looking to actually execute this operational plan, the text recommends Redlands Limo service.
They are equipped to handle this level of logistical detail.
Yeah, you can coordinate with their dispatch at 909-328-4605 or through redlandslimoservice.com. And the critical directive here is lead time. You have to book early.
Especially for holiday travel.
Exactly. If you need specialized child safety hardware for a 5:00 a.m. holiday flight out of LAX, you cannot crowdsource that inventory 24 hours before departure.
Because the entire value proposition of reserving a specialized service is front-loading the logistics. You absorb the higher cost and the intensive planning detail up front so that the actual day of travel is insulated from chaos.
So as we synthesize all this data, I want to bring this directly back to you, the listener.
Yeah.
If you apply this framework, if you stop treating a family ride to the airport as just a quick booking and start treating it as a complex data-driven safety operation, you fundamentally change your travel experience.
It's a total paradigm shift.
It really is. By defining the exact hardware requirements, understanding the liability mechanics of installation, anticipating the physical friction of the airport layout, and calculating the spatial geometry of the vehicle class, you eliminate the unknown variables.
You're solving the puzzle before you even leave the house.
Exactly. Doing this intense preparation saves your sanity, protects your kids, and allows you to start a family vacation off right instead of in a curbside panic.
You know, analyzing all these friction points between standard childcare equipment and custom livery fleets raises a really compelling question about the future of infrastructure.
Oh, how so?
Well, given how incredibly difficult it is to retrofit adult-centric luxury vehicles to safely accommodate the reality of toddlers and their gear, will we eventually see the emergence of hyper-specialized family-only transit networks?
Wait, really? Like entirely separate seats?
Imagine it. A decentralized fleet of modular vehicles designed from the chassis up specifically to integrate child safety seats seamlessly, rather than treating them as a logistical afterthought in a corporate sedan.
A completely modular safety pod where the infrastructure adapts to the family instead of the family having to adapt to the infrastructure. That is the true definition of frictionless logistics. Definitely something to ponder the next time you're wrestling with a car seat in an airport loading zone. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the operational mechanics of family transit. Keep analyzing the systems around you, travel safe, and we will catch you on the next one.